Hi guys, it's Miles. So since we can't meet on Wednesdays anymore, we're gonna start trying to do Wednesdays live. So we're going to have Bree doing worship, and we're gonna have Mark doing a little message for us today. But before we do that, we're just gonna give everybody a second to join, and yeah, that's it. I love you.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so good to me. Not you breathe your life in me. You have been so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. When I was your foe, still love offered me. You have been so good to me. And I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so kind to me. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Stone wall, not even fight a mountain you won't climb up. Come to me. Snow wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down. Come to me. Snow wall, not even fight a mountain you won't climb up. Come to me. Snow wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down. Come to me. Snow shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. Snow wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Snow shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. Snow wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. God, just thank you for bringing us to this live stream that can praise you through these hard times. That we're all here together, even if it's only virtually. Just pray for Mark's message, that it'll speak to us. You'll speak to us through him. We say these things in your name.
So when Miles first told me, I guess texted me, didn't tell me, social distancing. He's like, all right, preach a message or talk about something that like has to do with the times right now. So I was thinking, he was talking about the struggle originally, but I was thinking probably one of the biggest struggles that I see right now, or I'm experiencing too, is the whole like boredom and lack of community. Because when you go to church, there's a whole nother accountability aspect that we're now missing out on because we're at home and not actually seeing the people, you know, in real life, just over a screen. Like, you know, this is different than real church. So I was thinking how the temptations are more now because we have a lot of free time. I don't know about you guys, but I never have to go back to school again. So I just sit around and watch Minecraft videos. And let's be honest, that's probably not the best thing for my soul. And so that kind of brought me to the point. A lot of the things that we take in, like, do they hurt us or help us? Are they positive? I did this, but you couldn't see it. It wasn't on the screen. Are they positive or negative with, like, our spiritual life? Because I think for a lot of us, we just take in, like, our content, like our the videos we watch and the music we listen to. A lot of the content that we take in is the spiritual equivalent to just eating McDonald's. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen the, documentary Super Size Me, where the guy just eats McDonald's for like a month straight and he almost dies. And like, think about that with our soul. We just watch The Office over and over and over and over again, and for our soul, that's probably not the best thing. It's like eating McDonald's pretty much. So that brings me, you guys may be like, what the heck, I don't know if that's true or not. So that brings me to my first actual Bible verse, which is Romans 12, 1 and 2. And it says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." So, that is the verse, but I think that says perfectly how we should be taking on content that helps our relationship with God other than negative content. So I kind of have a goofy story, I guess, kind of sad story, not really sad, bad story, I guess, about like the content I take into, because I feel like everyone struggles with different things, and one of my things I struggle with is listening to like music that may not positively affect me. And so what was it? I was playing my music. So that's like my struggle, is my music doesn't always affect me positively. And so we were playing that at middle school camp, and Josh, like 8 times, he's like, "No, this is bad, gotta turn it off." I was like, yeah, you're right. And when you're listening to it yourself, it's completely different than when you're listening to your music around a whole bunch of middle schoolers. It really makes you like step back and realize, what the heck am I doing with my life? So that kind of first is the thing that kind of first knocked me into this whole realization that my music doesn't positively affect my mood. It changes my mood and does bad things. And so I think we all have struggles. Yours may not be music. It could be the TV shows you watch or the movies you watch, or even the people you hang out with can necessarily affect your soul in a non-positive way. And so Jared and I, a lot of you know Jared, maybe not, but Jared and I had a really good conversation about this on the way home from summer camp last year. I think it was last year. And Jared and I were listening to Will Smith the whole way home. Not the whole way home. After we realized there was a radio in the car and we should probably listen to music instead of sit there and die in the heat. And so we turned the radio on, and then we had a good conversation, because Will Smith, he's fun, he's clean, and we were talking about how that's something that's neutral or positive to our relationship with God, and how we should be taking in content that's neutral or positive to our relationship with God, other than content that is negatively affecting our relationship with God. So like positive or neutral is better than negative, or at least balance it out if you are gonna listen to negative, because some people just can't handle it. So then that really got me thinking. When Miles said the times, I was like, wow, the times are kind of crazy because of the coronavirus thing, but it's also the times as in it's Easter time. And so I'm not necessarily, this is sort of an Easter story, but it's something I feel relates really well. And this is Matthew 27:11 through 26. And this is Jesus before Pilate. And I'm sure most of you know the whole story of Jesus, but this is kind of a less talked about part that I feel is really important. So it says, "Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, 'Are you king of the Jews?' 'You have said so,' Jesus replied. When he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, 'Don't hear the testimony they are bringing against you.' But Jesus made no reply, not even a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Now it was the governor's custom at the festival to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd, and at the time they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Jesus Barabbas, which is kind of confusing, but his name was Jesus Barabbas. And so then, so when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, 'Which one do you want me to release to you, Jesus Barabbas or Jesus who is called the Messiah?' For he knew it was out of self-interest that they had handed Jesus over to him. When Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message: 'Don't do anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him.' But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. 'Which of the two do you want me to release to you?' asked the governor. 'Barabbas,' they answered. 'What shall I do then with Jesus who is called the Messiah?' Pilate asked. They all answered, 'Crucify him.' 'Why? What crime has he committed?' asked Pilate. And they shouted louder, 'Crucify him.' When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but instead an uproar was starting, he took the water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. 'I am innocent of this man's blood,' he said. 'It is your responsibility.' All the people answered, 'His blood is on us and on our children.' And then he released Barabbas to them, and then he had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified." And so that's kind of an interesting thing, because it doesn't say it in this version, but in other versions it mentions that Barabbas was a murderer. And so he was in there for murder, and then Jesus, I know it's weird because it's Jesus Barabbas and then Jesus, but Jesus the Messiah was in there for no reason at all. They just didn't like it. So I think this kind of is like us now. A lot of times we have two options. One option is obviously bad, like releasing a murderer. And then one option, there's no reason to go against it. You can't make an argument against it. But we still feel like we should go with the sense of our own beliefs. We go with the wrong, option. And we release the murderer figuratively and crucify the Messiah. Because we're choosing, not literally, but our actions. We would rather do something against God's will and do something for our will, like they did with releasing Barabbas, who was a murderer. So, that's kind of my point, is during the times where we're kind of away from church and it's a little hard because we don't have that extra layer of accountability and we have a lot of free time. Try and make sure your free time is going to things that are positively affecting your relationship with God, and also just try and make sure you're not choosing the wrong path and releasing Barabbas instead of choosing Jesus. That's it. Yeah. Bye, I think. Bye.